Surprisingly enough, there's been no rises. Last season we saw rises quite quickly. Mike, why do you think there's not been any rises this season? Or this,
I think
this deep?
The start of last year saw a lot of new players join FPL. And so the market was very volatile. People were making a team that was very template because of the prices of last season. You had everybody having almost the same team, and then everybody almost stuffing up game week 1, and then everybody pivoting to how do I fix my team because it was so template, and everybody stuffed up, and that led to a whole lot of people making early transfers that just shot prices up. And if you look this season, the transfers, there's so much, like even our teams are different. People have different teams. There's staples, but there's also a variance across different teams.
You could say that you could say that the players that people picked did as they were expected to do. They did well enough. Like, just a quick example: you had Salah, I had Jota. They both got points. You got a bit more than me, but there's no reason for me to now move to Salah because Jota got me points. Kind of an example.
There's just no template, and that means that there's more options, that your team is decent, and therefore not everybody's pivoting to get rid. How unfortunately though, even though there's no price rises, and I do think we will see some price rises in the near future, we have to talk about the price drops. And here are the players that have dropped in price since the game started. If you have any of them, I'm sorry. However, there's only one player on this list that we were talking about, and we didn't even say that you should bring him in your team. So it wasn't us that gave you that bad. So whatever you're listening to there. So the first one is Tony at 7.4 million, and it's easy to understand why. He was not selected in the squad for Brentford's first game, not because he wasn't fit, but because he is trying to get a move out of the club, and the club don't want to use him in the squad when he might be on his way out.
Yeah, makes sense.
That being said, it doesn't look like Brentford needed him.
No. So we'll talk about the Brentford and Wemo and Risa later. But yeah, you're right. The second one would be Darwin Núñez. I could argue the same thing, that Liverpool technically don't need him. Jota did fine with Diaz on the left, Salah getting points on the right. He just didn't fit into Klopp's team over the weekend. And I suppose people see that there's more points in other forwards. So there's no point having Núñez.
Yeah. And he didn't. He kind of was on the periphery of Klopp's team, but with Slot, he's kind of like, it looks like he's got so many options that he didn't need him for that first match, and it's unfortunate. But it's not as if Darwin has shown us that he is this elite striker. No. He struggled. Yeah. He has struggled, and so I think Slot also knows. That's why I actually like the manager that Liverpool chose, because he clearly doesn't want to rock the boat. He's like, I'm taking Klopp's team.
Yeah.
I'm taking it another season. I'm going to get the best out of the players that are there. Yeah. No transfers in. He's like really doing a good job. And he's trying to make sure they win so that he can start his football tenure on a positive note.
Yeah.
Right? He's doing whatever it takes. Even if it means Darwin doesn't start.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if Darwin's not starting, he's doing what it takes to win so that he can start strong. Now go tell me the other starting Premier League managers at Chelsea who don't do things like that. And then
moving along before we get too upset.
Kwanzaa is the one that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So Kwanzaa's dropped to 4.4 million, and the Kwanzaa started the game, but everybody said that he looked like he was being bullied. Okay, It looked like it was just too much for him. Preseason is one thing, but the real thing,
it's a different
beast. You can't. It's different. The Premier League is a different beast. You're right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, most people assume that Kwanzaa is going to not start, and so they've taken him out of their team, and that has caused the drop in price to 4.4 million. So if you have him, you've kind of lost a bit of money on him.
Yeah.
Would you hold Kwanzaa now that you've missed the price drop, Nate?
I don't know. I don't think he starts again. Like you say, he didn't really feel comfortable. I think you keep him maybe for another week because he's not going to drop again unless people mass transfer him now. But I think you would look to move him on with a bank transfer. No point taking a negative point to move out money that you've lost already. So maybe a bank transfer or a wild card later on.
The problem is you can't go to a 4.5 because you've lost 0.1.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to
downgrade to a formal.
And there isn't one that's starting that we know of.
And the one that we're going to talk about did not even feature.
Yeah.
Rodri from City, just out, just not there, not available for selection.
We had Added Time FPL member who was asking for advice, and we actually we put together a team, and he had Rodri in his team just to fill up a spot. And unfortunately, I saw the news that Rodri wasn't available, but I forgot to let him know. I just missed it just before the deadline, the day before.
Yeah.
And so he has got Rodri and he's gone down. But guess what? He's ahead of both of us in our Moodley League.
Yeah, there we go.
His name is Aveshin Velu. Shout out.
And then the last drop was Sancho. He dropped before the mass bulk drop happened yesterday. I think he dropped over the weekend. Just because
that's because he's not included in the squad.
Yeah, just not there. Also, more rumors about him planning to leave United anyway. He never
Worst
really
rumors.
fits.
He's coming to Chelsea. So
you guys can keep him United. It's fine. You guys can keep him.
Everybody's we're apparently trading Sancho for Chilwell, so we'll see what happens
there. You go.
And price changes can also affect transfers that are happening at clubs, and two transfers that I think are important to keep an eye on. And the big one actually is Anderson to Fulham, because Anderson from Crystal Palace is sitting at a high ownership, and that means that so he's selected by 18.3%. He's not a differential. He was a pick that a lot of people wanted in their team, and now he may be moving to Fulham. Does that, to you, improve his appeal or worsen his appeal?
I think two things are at play. I think it worsens the appeal of Crystal Palace goalkeepers. Unfortunately, we have Henderson because he was a very good defender for Palace and was pretty solid. Now they're losing that asset. So for Palace, I don't know if they're going to be a solid defensive anymore. For Fulham, I think it's a good thing. They're obviously gaining a good defender. We'll have to see how it affects the already budget picked Fulham defense that we've spoken about. But I think it's a good move overall. I think it's worth holding on to him. I think you're buying him in to start him. I don't think you're paying that price for that player to have him sit on the bench. So it's a good move.
I think Anderson coming in makes Robertson even better. Because at 4.5, Robertson's defensive clean sheet potential goes up by them buying a good defender. And at the same time, and Robinson looks like a really good pick because he was flying down the wing. On the other side was Tete, which started in front of Castigan and was really, really good.
And so I'm still looking forward. Looked like good on the weekend against United. Like they really did well.
United were lucky to come away with the win there.
Yeah. And the last thing, a big talking point, because Pep went out of his way to sign a replacement for this man, and now he's on his way back apparently. But Gundogan's coming back to the Premier League. He's unhappy.
Gundogan is a beast, not only as a FPL asset, but as a player and a leader in that team. So
he'll plug that Rodri gap for sure. It will be interesting to see what his price reveal point will be.
What's interesting to me is, like, where is this coming from? You're bringing Gundogan back. Someone must be leaving, moving on, or taking their space in the squad. So we keep an eye on that. Like, in what capacity is Gundogan coming back in that midfield where you got Kovacic there and you've got Rodri there, and so now you got Gundogan. So how are the three of them going to work together? Pep must have a plan.
Yeah. Pep's always got a plan.